Climber. What does a successful indie music publisher look for in a songwriter? What makes them want to sign a songwriter like you? We discuss that and more today with the GM of a rising publishing company out of Nashville. Let's get into it. Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business, because that is the new music business. It's an acquisition-based business model now. They're not going to take you from obscurity and turn you into a household name. You got to show them that you got what it takes, that your art has value, and they're going to come rushing to you to help pull you up to the next level, the next step, the next mountain peak on your climb. That's why we called it the Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a backstory from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols. Got Southern Gospel #1s, multiples. He's got top 10s in Australia and Texas. The man is making miracles happen. And more importantly, he helps you. He wants to help you turn pro. You, the songwriter, turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, the last piece of that equation is getting connected with the pros that can help you climb up that mountain. And he gives you those opportunities once a quarter. You got it, once a quarter, man. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams or blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there's no S because there is no other. Johnny D.
I'm excited about this one.
Man, so good. I've known
they've been
of
making miracles happen over there at MV2.
They are. I've known of Tony for a little bit now, but this interview that we just recorded, it's the first time I got to kind of hang out with him and get to know him some more, and just seems like a beautiful human being. Making miracles happen, man. So I'm excited to get into this. I think there's a lot of good stuff for not just for songwriters in this one, but also for artists. The way that this publishing company / label is looking into the future. So
yeah, that's the part. Like in the intro, you didn't mention that they're a label too. So they're trying to break some artists, and then having tremendous success on the publishing side. And we asked some really hard-hitting questions, I think, that he answered, because I was curious, like, what, does this scare the crap out of you, like about radio? Like, what are you doing about it, because I'm interested to see how they think. And I think this is a very forward-thinking company. So, yeah, this is going to be a good interview. Before we get into that, let's take care of a little business here. We want you to join the Climb community on Facebook. Just go to Facebook groups and search for the Climb community, or go to facebook.com/groups/the Climb community. Got to ask to be let in. We let everybody in, and unless you're a creep. And then this is your peers. This is a thriving group that is busy of your peers. You can find musicians there. You can find producers. You can find co-writes. You can find syncs. I mean, everybody's helping everybody in there. You got questions, you're going to get answers, and come in and ask as many as you want. And I'm so proud of this group. The people, the climbers are just always going out of their way to help, in any way that they can, which I love. So, and hey, man, you got new music and you want some love and affection, post that as a comment on Monday's New Music Monday. You got a gig you want to tell us about? Post that as a comment on Gig Alert on Thursday on that post. And then if you post we want to hear about your wins too. We want to celebrate those, so much so that we do it on the show. We celebrate them on the show. So what do we got?
All right, this one comes from climber Ron Hirsch. Says, Paul DeMarco, another climber, released a single of the song I co-wrote with him called Will You Run With Me? So Paul's definitely a friend of the show, former guest. He's been on here. And so congrats, Ron. And I'm sure man, Paul does good work, so I'm sure that's a good, solid piece of work right there. So congrats and keep on climbing.
Right on. Well, let's make sure you follow the podcast and tell a friend about it. Let's get into this with Tony because we got a lot to cover.
Yeah, let's go. Today's guest is a veteran studio musician appearing on many top records. He has recorded with such superstars as Jason Aldean, Vince Gill, Amy Grant, Keith Urban, Taylor Swift, Sheryl Crow, Luke Bryan, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, Alabama, and many more. And he's also laid down tracks for country royalty like Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, Hank Williams Jr., and Ray Price. Yeah, you just can't cut any names out of that list. His skilled musicianship has earned him multiple Academy of Country Music nominations in the piano/keyboards category. In 2011, he was awarded Music Row's Keyboard Player of the Year. As general manager of MV2 Entertainment, that's MV as in maximum value, we'll call it, 2 Entertainment, our guest focuses on artist development and building successful music content with a diverse roster of talent. Tony Harrell, welcome to The Climb.
Welcome, Tony.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Yes.
Brent, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for doing this. I know, you're running a GM and a record label/publishing company, and you probably got a lot on your plate. So thank you for your time today.
You are so welcome. And yes, you're exactly right. It's a lot. It's drinking from a fire hose, but every day, man, is such a blessing. And I want to talk about, because Johnny, you mentioned a word earlier before the camera was rolling. So MV2, we started 9 years ago. And I started with a lifelong friend, James Archer. He is our owner and plays, a support role in our company. We couldn't have done it without James's support, but he does allow me to run the company and our team. So it's been a pretty amazing thing. One of the first things we did, we named our company, and it came from MVV, Mission, Vision, Values. So we thought,
MV2.
what's a cool way to say Mission, Vision, Values? And it was MV2.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Well, it really runs deep with us because it starts with that, and we kind of build everything that aligns with that. And one of our values, Johnny mentioned the word adaptable. Mm-hmm. And being adaptable is one of our values, because if you don't like change, better get out of this industry.
Right?
It's ever changing and evolving. But what a beautiful thing. There's still amazing opportunity out there. And it's just, every day, and especially now, you're seeing independent artists poking through. You're seeing, and Brent, you mentioned our record label, New Lost City Records. It's at its very infancy. So we've had great success with our publishing arm. We've been incredibly blessed there with 14 number ones in the last 4 years at country radio. Also a top 20 and 400 plus songs that have been recorded by who's who in country music. We've had a great run. We currently have 2 singles on the charts. One is top 10, Go Chris Young, Young Love and Saturday Nights. And then we also have a top 40 with Chris Lane currently. But it's always about, you can't ever stop and get comfortable. Mm-hmm. You're always, grateful for every cut, everything, every incredible co-write that could lead to a great cut, that could lead to a hit single. But each day, you're looking ahead. Everything we do right now is next year.
Yeah.
So, you know how this business works. I mean, if you've got a song that gets recorded today, It might be a single, hopefully, at some point. And then if you're blessed enough to have a hit single with that song that got recorded, you'll get paid 8 months to a year later for that activity.
Yeah.
So it's that part of the business is, it moves super slow.
Yes, it does.
Which creates like a necessity for a whole nother talent completely separate from the music industry, which is like how to manage a business, number one, and number two, a business that gets you paid a year later. Like that's a cash flow. Like whoever's doing that for you is a genius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is not an easy task, sir, to do.
It's not, because, as with anything, you're, you do have to manage your expenses and keep fortifying it and building your cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the nuts and bolts reality. The other side, the creative side, it's awesome. It's fun. It's exciting. It's competitive. It's it's not for the faint of heart at all.
Yeah. Well, one thing that stands out to me is, okay, so you're 9 years in, so you're coming up on your 10th birthday, you're in year 9. That is an impressive accomplishment for an independent publisher. And two things stand out to me. What in the world made you want to try and start a publishing company? Like, be on the ground floor, like, why? Because the failure rate is pretty high. It's a really tough business. And then, you were in year 5, it sounds like, when you started having this string of 14 number ones. And what do you attribute that to? How do you survive for 5 years, and how have you kind of built it? Because just in the last 9 years, the music industry has changed so much. And so have you guys hung on there? So cash flow, which we just talked about, is really important to manage that. Is it a mix of signing writers that are also artists? Is it, how have you kind of built this thing to last? Because that's really impressive, having 14 number ones in any 4-year period, but especially in your first decade.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. First 5 years were incredibly hard. And that's where, I can accredit a patient business partner that really saw the vision, had a passion for music as well, even though that's not the industry that he came up in. So, but that really helped us continue to build and grow and learn. And so there's 3 areas. We had a couple of writers that we have grown organically.
Mm-hmm.
It was just by growth. We saw it coming with them. We saw who they were writing with. We saw all the markers of this is going to happen. So we kept going, and it really paid big dividends. It was exciting to see that growth. We also had some smart acquisitions. We did a couple of acquisitions early on, and when we got them, it was like we knew what was in there, but it hadn't happened yet. So there again, it was a step of faith. But you mitigate your risk and try to hedge your bets on some knowns, but it's still a risk at the end of the day, always. And we had a couple of those acquisitions that really did well for us, and there were some hits that came out of that. And then smart signings, which are not always, there's so much talent out there, and talent doesn't always guarantee that you're going to get high profile cuts that generate revenue.
Yeah.
Get critically acclaimed cuts that maybe don't generate much of anything. But it's cool because you got a Grammy or whatever.
I like
You
to
know,
say it looks better on the bio than it does on the bank statement.
oh my goodness. And that's not to take away, because art is art and
Yeah.
entertainment is entertainment. And we love all of it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you have to, continue to find things that do, you know, that are monetized, that do bring value, because at the end of the day, it is a business.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs money to operate, costs money for the infrastructure. And then a lot of times you're putting money in hedging bets that this is going to pay off.
Yeah.
So it's always a delicate balance of that. And, you know, I think all three of those things combined have, been things that brought success for us.
Very cool. One thing you said stuck out to me is, looking at some writers, some signings, doing some smart signings, looking at some people and saying, oh, they're writing with these people, and it just feels like it's going to happen for them. And so I'm curious, because a lot of our climbers out there, a lot of our listeners are wanting to be in that position where a publishing company like an MV2 or someone else takes interest in them and sees what could happen for them. And so what are some of those things that gets a writer on your radar to go, oh, this might be a really good investment? What are some of those things?
Yeah, I think there's definite markers. One is just talent.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's exceptionally talented.
Yeah.
I always look at three things, and it's not just three things, but I mean, there's all kinds of little, details under each thing. But one is exceptional talent that catches your ear, that truly your gut says, wow, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in this town 40 years, and it's still opinionated, but you feel like you've got a good gut sense on something that's got a chance, and something that is exceptional. So I think it's that. It's something that, first and foremost, the talent is exceptional. You hear something, even if it's raw, you go, wow, this is really good and has a lot of potential. The second thing is somebody that's a self-starter, that's driven, that's motivated, because this business, when you sign a writing deal, you don't work for the publisher. You start a partnership with the publisher.
Right.
And
it's a JV. Yeah.
it really is. You're an independent contractor, and, the publisher is the infrastructure, the frame, your representative, but it's as much on you as a writer as it is on the publisher. Hopefully together it creates this amazing synergy. So somebody that's self-started, that's driven. And then, another layer is somebody that fits our culture, that really aligns with our values as a company. And that doesn't mean, it's not cookie cutter and, you've got all just of one thing, but somebody in their heart of hearts, their values, they're of, high moral standard, and they have values and ethics with what they do. We want that, along with all the other things. It's not always easy to find.
Right.
Sometimes you get one piece without, two of the others, or vice versa.
For some reason, the music industry has an abundance of colorful characters.
True.
And we've all met them, and you're just like, wow, like this.
I love it. That's part of, we are the Isle of Misfits. We're all, creative beings are different people. And I'm one of them. But it's, and that's another thing, I think, from being a studio musician for so many years. I've spent a lot of time with artists and with writers. And I feel like that there's a mutual respect, and I feel like there's a connectivity there. because I've been in the ditch with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It really, I think, has helped
Mm-hmm.
from that regard.
Well, you're not a suit. You're because we've all encountered them in the record industry where it's just some guy with a business degree that doesn't understand anything. And,
Right.
You have the heart, the soul, the creative brain, the track record, so they're going to trust you, when you're talking about the business part, which a lot of creatives find icky, you know.
All right.
Absolutely. And, I mean, the business part is a necessary part, but you're right. I was completely inspired by my friend Craig Wiseman with what he did with Big Loud and
Yeah.
seeing the empire that they built over there.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I've known Craig a long time. I mean, since the mid 80s. And we've spent a lot of time in the studio together and watching each other, and just, it's been really amazing to see that, because to your comment, Johnny, that's not a suit.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of us that actually built an incredible, business.
Yeah.
And has continued to adapt and grow and pivot and do some amazing things. And that is a giant exception. I think most of the time we see, and Brent, you asked something earlier that so many people have asked, what made you even want to, pivot in a career where you were already doing this, and to take a jump into the publishing world and the business side of things. And I think part of that.
What were you thinking? You're a king of the mountain. Why are you like, hey, I think I should go over here and try to start this thing up?
I got so many
I'm already successful at something. Let's blow that up and do something else. Right.
That's pretty much what I got from a lot of people. I got texts and phone calls, and, man, are you okay? What's going on?
Yeah.
And what are you thinking?
Did you break your fingers? Can you not play? Are you okay? Yeah.
Even from publishers, it's like, what are you doing? And why are you doing this?
You don't want this, Dewey. I think publishing can be fun. You don't want this crap here, Dewey. This is bad for you.
Right.
So it really, and, a couple of years in, I looked in the mirror and asked those same questions, but it really, there was something that was driving to do something different. Mm-hmm. But that was still in the wheelhouse of everything I knew.
Yeah.
And, I didn't stop playing. I mean, I still play and still do a lot of creative stuff that feeds that side of my DNA, which if you don't, then you're miserable.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people like us, Tony, but you didn't choose music. Music chose you. And
absolutely.
If you're not scratching that itch in some way, shape, or form, let's be honest, you're going to be on the 6 o'clock news, climbing a tower with a gun, right?
Well, you have to feed that, and
you have to.
And thankfully, found creative ways to keep that going. Part of it comes through New Law City, our record label.
Mm-hmm.
I get to create a lot of content with our artists and record songs and be a part of that. And also I do a lot of sync stuff with our company where I'm creating content, reimagined covers and all kinds of stuff. And I think the difference now, and occasionally I'll step out and do a record for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that I've had a long history or relationship with. And it makes sense because I keep those relationships alive and I'm grateful for those. And if they, want to care enough to call, then I think, man, I'm going to go do that. And it's going to be fun and always come back to MV2 energized, and I've continued to be involved in other relationships, but then I bring that energy back to the company, and it just, I think it's infectious. I think it helps things.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got this might feel like a hard hitting question, but I'm curious. It's actually two questions. One is, you've just had a tremendous success on the publishing side with the number ones, and may that double and triple and quadruple for you. That is based on, that revenue comes from getting that song to an artist that's on country radio, and is that the same approach? Because you may not you may have to structure it differently on the label side when you're trying to break an artist, especially for an independent company. Is that the same approach that you guys have to trying to break artists that you have signed to your label, as opposed to exploiting the copyrights on the wonderful songs that are being written on the publishing side? And then the second part of the question that I have is, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but I just wonder if you guys think about this internally. There's legislation right now in Congress that will, if it's passed into law, would force automakers to continue to provide terrestrial radio in their cars. And that fact, whether it becomes a law or not, is clearly, why would we need a law about that? Radio and music have always been just, and cars and music and radio have been one, in part of our culture. And, I feel, and this is my opinion, that, the only reason that exists is because there's rumblings of that happening from the automakers. And I wonder, if somebody were to come out with that headline, right? Like to say, we're going to make it optional. We're not going to put radio in the cars. One of the bigger automakers, it could possibly, and let's just go with this scenario in terms of the question here. It could possibly be like a Black Monday for radio, because then all of a sudden the advertisers that are still left supporting terrestrial radio know 90% of it's consumed in the car, and if it's not in the car, then why are we spending money if that would to happen? Like, do you guys have a plan for that? Like, do you talk about that? Does it keep you up at night? Like, what do we do to promote the artists if we're not able to go to radio?
We think about it all the time, and yeah, keeping us up at night, there's a lot of those things. I think, first of all, it would be a tragedy to not have radio in cars, but I don't want to be naive to anything. I have 3 kids of my own, and a lot of times am able to utilize them as A&R for us.
Sure.
You think about this song, because they're music kids. They're not in the music business, but per se, but they were immersed in music their whole life. They have opinions. They know what they like.
Yep.
And, these are our fans and tastemakers out there. But my kids, I say it tongue in cheek, don't even know what radio is.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the car and it's playlist. Yeah. And so we don't want to be naive as a company to know that the generation is coming and is here, and that was not raised on radio.
Yeah.
We were raised on radio.
Yeah.
But, as we get older and, die off, as tragic as that sounds, but the next gen coming in, and the generation below them, they're not radio people.
Yeah.
They're streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And there might even be something different by the time they're our age.
Right.
They may be doing something else with delivery of music. So I think it goes back to that word being adaptable, being a trendsetter, looking forward. I think you have to establish, uh, alternative methods to get your music out to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We see that. That's an existing model with record labels right now, with stuff that goes viral with on TikTok, or they've got all this that blew up on YouTube, and so that becomes, oh well, they target these guys because they've already built something,
Yeah.
and then ingested and put it in their network, their global network, to try to make it even bigger. And I think we can't be naive to that. It's a streaming world. We're grateful for radio and radio singles, and I love radio.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at reality of where is, where are people consuming music?
Yeah, and hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I mean, we have to, it's why we put seatbelts in cars, right? Nobody wants to get in a car accident, but
Right.
if it happens, like, hey, here's something that can help you get through it.
Yeah.
Do you guys, just out of curiosity, do you feel that there is, and I don't think it's been created yet, okay? But would you venture a guess to say that you feel there is a blueprint that for breaking artists digitally? It's, let's say, in the most horrible of circumstances where you don't have a choice, right? Where for whatever reason, radio has now become not an option. Okay, but God forbid, but let's just say that. Do you feel that there is a blueprint to, or an infrastructure to be created to that is reliable and as repeatable on a digital platform as radio was on a broadcast platform?
I do think there is. Yeah, don't know what that is.
I mean, I'm not. I don't think it's been put together yet, but I'm just curious if you guys think about that and if you experiment with it at all.
I think we see glimpses of that with online radio, with uh, just the concept of Pandora and platforms like that, because Pandora is really catered to somebody that doesn't want to assemble a playlist. They assemble it for you. And even, Spotify will do that by your listening trends. And I think with all the platforms, you see that where, they're using predictive AI to say, okay, this person likes this. And then they cater your playlist according to that. And I think for some people that actually has been, an alternative space. And, when you pay the subscription, you can do ad free and get continuous music. And I think you see people that absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I think with all the platforms, as far as what you're asking, I don't know of anything that's gonna. I mean, terrestrial radio was ad driven, and it was model that super lucrative for so many years, and just like network TV, where, and I think you maybe have to compare it to that. That if you're watching network TV, it's still ad driven. You're going to see the Chevy truck ad and all this stuff, and you go, "Oh, we got to sit through commercials on this."
Right. Yeah.
And even some of the networks, with movies, it's like, we got to sit through commercials with this movie.
Yeah.
But it coexists with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and everything else. that is ad free and commercial free, the ad driven TV is still out there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in, if you look at YouTube, that's where all the revenue comes from, is those ads that people are buying that they see. And
all social media is
all social media. Absolutely.
All social media. The reason it's free to us is because it's ad driven.
Because we're the product. Our attention is the product that they're selling to the advertisers.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah. So it's really there again. It just looks different.
Yeah,
it's the same concept.
Yep.
And I think the good news in the music industry, especially country music, it's bigger than it's ever been. It's big business.
Mm-hmm.
It's big business.
It has surpassed. I mean, the record industry has surpassed the highs, the biggest highs that we had back in the days when it was pumping. Just in terms of gross revenue from.
Yeah.
We've through streaming, and it's still evolving, the equitable pay and all of these things, but bottom line, we have way more people on the planet paying to consume music than we've ever had, which is exciting.
Absolutely.
And a blessing, I think.
It really is. Music was kind of late to the party with the subscription model, but everyone has adapted, and we're in that.
Music's still late to the party in terms of every other industry knowing who their customer is, which is astonishing.
Yeah.
Like astonishing. Like
you have to look at film and TV because they really, TV went to subscription model in the 90s. And, I think for music, we went through some turbulent times through the Napster phase and all of that, where it was like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Physical product has gone away. And so there again, the industry has adapted, and, thankfully now we're raising people that don't mind paying a subscription for music. And you get exactly what you want. You can do your own playlist.
And holy cow, what a value. Are you kidding me? For the cost of 12 records a year, you get the whole entire catalog of recorded music history. Like,
right. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah.
It's got a long way to go to, as we know.
Yes, it does.
To adequately monetize, because a lot of that is so antiquated, and writers and publishers have been at the absolute bottom of that list.
Yeah.
With laws being changed that really have grown with everything else. We're the last ones. Thankfully, there have been a couple of rate changes and things, thanks to a lot of advocates in Nashville that went to Washington and lobbied and testified, like Lee Miller and Bart Herberson.
Bart Herberson,
and the show.
A list of champions that songwriters that went and testified and before Senate committee and got some of those changes implemented. But we got a long way to go to get this really adjusted to a place, because right now publishers and songwriters are really at the bottom of that list.
Yeah. They're at the front of the journey of every dollar that's made in the music industry, and at the bottom of the list when it comes to being paid. It's the strangest dichotomy I've ever seen.
Yeah, but front of the production line, back of the pay line.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Like every single dollar that's generated in the music industry doesn't happen without the song.
Right.
It does start there. It starts with, the creators and the songs and the artist. And they all wager everything.
Yeah.
This business.
Yeah. And speaking of the writers, I know we're kind of a little short on time here, but for the writers that you have over at MV2 and the success you've had, like how are you, I guess, leveraging your assets to create that opportunity for success for your writers? Meaning, like, is it all about like, hey, we're song plugging, we're getting outside songs to artists that you know and have access to? Is it we're using our relationships to build the best room so that the writer does the song plugging in the room? What are some of the kind of, where are you focusing on making that success or making it possible, I guess, for your writers? How are they going about chasing that these days?
Man, it is very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And our senior creative director, Ben Strain, we meet all the time, each week. And I always call it 1% tweaks. We look at things that we can do a little bit better. Where did we miss something here? How can we adjust? Because it really starts in the writer room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who you're writing with, what you're writing for, and what's the end game.
Mm-hmm.
Because anymore, just getting in a room, writing a great song, that's got value. But you want to go one step further and go, why are we doing this? You know, are we writing for, is it with an artist and we're writing for their project? Or is it for, or do you have this incredible idea that you're going to write with A-listers and you know this thing's going to have a home because I can text it to who's who?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it is a writer room strategy. The rights have to be incredibly intentional because that time is so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is you want to maximize. You got a banger idea and approach on a song. You want to leverage that with the best people in the room
Mm-hmm.
to move it forward and go, man, I want to finish this with so and so. And so we encourage our guys. That's really the approach we take. What happens in the writing room and the calendar is so important. And that's really valuing everyone's time and maximizing everyone's time. The other side is the pitch side. Man, that is as important. But as we know, outside songs, thankfully now there's more outside songs that are being cut than
Mm-hmm.
traditionally in the last few years.
Why do you think that is? Just out of curiosity.
I think people just,
That's encouraging to hear. I'm
Yes, it
happy
is.
that you said that. It makes me feel good. I'm
yeah,
just curious, like, what
because
happened?
people want great songs, build great careers.
Yeah.
And people want the great songs. I think, you know, most artists in this industry write. There's a few that don't, you know, that have done the George Strait model, and they were not concerned with writing. You know,
Mhm.
George Strait, iconic artist. Even Garth, though he wrote some of his hits, his iconic songs, he didn't write.
Mhm.
Dance, Friends in Low Places. So I think artists now really are like, just give me a banger, give me a song in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think to that point, you know, pitching and the time to pitch is anytime. But you don't want to, there's always etiquette with pitching.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to bombard people with good songs. You want to hit them with an iconic, exceptional song.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different levels with different artists in their career. You know, a Chesney is going to be looking for a different kind of song from Michael Ray. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not, I mean, they're all have value to them. But, you know, sometimes you got to quantify, okay, what's going to be a good fit? And so I think you have to study the artist and kind of do some predictive of where they're going and maybe what they're thinking and even talking to them. I mean, I ran into Keith Urban at lunch the other day and he goes, and I know him from playing on stuff, a couple of his early records, and knew long before he signed a record deal. And it was kind of sweet now being in a publisher role. And he said, man, send me a great song.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, something you said is real interesting. You said the predictive, figuring out what they may want, what's going to work for that artist, ties back to what you're talking about playlisting, right? Predictive AI going, oh, if this person has listened to these songs, they may like these songs, right? And in a way, that is an interesting framing for song plugging, almost doing your own predictive AI going, okay, Keith Urban has recorded these things. This has been his trajectory. Based on that and where he's going, we predict that he may like this, this, and this from our catalog. Kind of doing your own predictive modeling for an artist in a way.
You have to do that. It's not always predictable.
Right.
And a lot of artists can be very unpredictable, but you've got to start there. I think the homework on a good publisher is really knowing an artist, know what they sing about, know their culture, know their audience, know what kind of songs they do sing, what kind of songs they don't sing, and really kind of the package that lives in. And I think identifying that puts you in the wheelhouse. You just got to start there. If you don't do that homework, you're not going to be in the game. You're not going to be close. Otherwise, you're just randomly trying to pick something that you think is good and hope they like it. But
right,
you got to go way deeper than that.
Hey, I know we're running short on time, but one more quick question. I'm just curious because I'm just so delighted to hear the words come out of your mouth that there's more outside cuts happening in the last couple of years than before, because I know before it was it was business model decision, right? Like the label would rather have the artists writing the songs because there's more revenue there that they can deal with. Do you feel like that change? I know that everybody wants a better song. Do you feel like that change had anything to do with the fact that the power of radio was just so huge? There's famous stories of like the Carly Simon quote unquote hit single, and I'm not talking about You're So Vain, but like the one that was like a number one that sold 6,000 copies, right? Because it was such a powerful push, but nobody liked the song. But it was it was getting spun, as opposed to on the streaming platforms, it really is about how it's a pull, right? Like that, it's how the song performs. And if you're a Keith Urban fan, you follow Keith Urban on Spotify, you're going to be notified he's got a new song. And then it really is about like, do I like the song or not like the song? Yeah. And do you feel like that had something to do with it? Maybe like, because it does better, now it's not we don't have the promotional power maybe of radio. So we just need a really good song, and let's get back to outside cuts if we have to.
Yeah, I think, most labels, they don't even go to radio unless a song, depending on the artist, but especially with younger artists, if the song is not reacting on the streaming platforms, then, that really brings
the litmus test.
Yeah, do we want to go to radio with it?
You want to spend $1 million to prove it right again or wrong again?
Right. Yeah.
It's just smart marketing. It's a smart use of funds, and you have to. I think there's more. I guess marketing drivers, for lack of a better word, and I even hate the phrase,
or indicators,
indicators. Indicators where you can see, wow, this thing's this thing's on fire, man.
Yeah.
People love
People are responding to it. It's touching a nerve, and God bless us for that, yeah.
That's how this whole thing started, that's the honesty of music, and that's what you want. You want something that was written that is moving somebody, whether it's making them laugh, dance, or cry, or whatever it is. It's making them feel something.
That's right.
I love it.
Well, Tony, man, thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know you got a full day ahead of you. But just thank you for your generosity and being willing to play on both sides of the street, my songwriter side and Johnny's marketing side. I appreciate that.
Man,
thank you for your time, man.
It's been a pleasure, and look forward to talking again. And I appreciate all the great questions.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Well, that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode, y'all. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you.
Ride a greyhound all night long, standing